Greetings, peace, blessings. Welcome to another episode of Moments in Mastery, where we discuss mastery in life and in business. Masternomics was created for that purpose. It is to help you become the best version of yourself by teaching methods, techniques of self-mastery. Masternomics is about entrepreneurship. We believe that being an entrepreneur, investing in yourself, believing in yourself is a way to liberate yourself. So we see entrepreneurship as a way of liberation. And for you to be liberated, you must first know thyself, right? So hopefully you all are familiar with this saying of our deity, Tahuti, our ancient ancestor, Tahuti, who said, know thyself, and it's on the walls in Egypt, right? So in studying ourselves and becoming a great entrepreneur in business and in life, right, we have to have some form of spirituality. I know when me and Sabrina first encountered, she had mentors, and one of the things her mentors always told her was what? We've heard it before.
A million things.
But what was the main thing as far as you said that you could be successful in business, but you don't remember? You always tell me the same story. She can't remember.
I mean, I have so many mentors that have said so many beautiful things.
So when we first met, one of the things you always said to me, you said, well, my mentors always said, you can have a business, but you have to keep God first.
Yeah.
And
that was a big problem for me, though.
Yeah.
But it's not the fact of keeping God first. Well, yeah, it was a problem for me. Yeah.
Mm. Why was it a problem?
Well, when I first started on my entrepreneurial journey, I was introduced to business and entrepreneurship through network marketing, which I'm grateful because through network marketing, they in order to become a part of the team, you had to go through so much personal development. But in the process of the personal development, they used to, all of the mentors, no matter which category they was coming in at, they always would say that in order to be successful in your business, you have to have God as your foundation. You got to have a strong relationship with God. You have to have a foundational oneness with God, pretty much. And I just was like, all right, I'm here for the economics. I'm here for the personal development. I believe in all of that, but I was iffy at the space of how I was feeling about God, because becoming more aware of things, I started to question God, if that makes sense, because I was starting to receive new information, and with me receiving new information and being a person that thinks, was learning to think for myself at the time, I started to question how I was programmed to view God. And so I was only programmed to view God in one way, through one aspect, and that was through how, because I was mostly learning from Jehovah's Witnesses, from what I was learning. Like even with me being raised so-called Jehovah's Witness, the people that raised me as Jehovah's Witness, they was only Jehovah's Witness when it benefited them. And so even though I had a respect for the religion itself in a way it was given, I wasn't around people that actually was implying it. And so when I got on my journey of trying to figure out what God was for me, reading it and receiving it for myself, I started to question everything. But the people that I was learning from was like, you don't question, you don't ask these questions. And so with me reading the Bible for myself, and I'm starting to see things like slaves obey your earthly master, or when I'm asking simple questions of like, was the dinosaurs or was humans here first, and they can't answer things like that, I wasn't getting anything that was satisfying to me. And so even though I didn't completely just reject God or religion, I still was like, I don't know what I believe anymore, because no one was really satisfying my true curiosity. Because I feel like if you true to who you are, God, why can't I question? Why can't I question it? So it made me feel like I don't know what God is. I don't know, God on my side. I don't know. And so I was having a very so even though, I have like Rico, I have Hazik, and they say like, oh, you got to keep God first. You got to keep your faith. And I'm like, okay. let's get back
Your
to the
faith.
business
Uh-huh.
because I don't know where my faith is. I don't know how I feel about God. I don't
Right.
know about all of that because I was starting to have those indifferences of about what I felt God was, and so it pushed.
So
me
your
away.
faith wasn't firm in a spiritual concept of God, and that was based off of the religious concept you had of God. So I had to ask it that way, and you gave a great. You actually were teaching in what you were saying because this is what happens with most of us. When we get into business, right? We always say life in business, right? When you get into business, you encounter things. And so the only thing that can help you get through some physical things is something non-physical. It's spiritual. And so, but guess what? What is your concept of God? So if your concept of God, which a lot of people's concept of God is something outside of us, a power outside of us, and we only know mostly what someone had told us. The average person hasn't done in-depth research, right? So, but if your concept of divinity or power is outside of you, right, you're always going to be at a limited state. If your concept of omnipotent, all-powerful God, because that's what people say, but yet you'll find most people that call themselves God-fearing, they'll give up in business, or they won't even start the business, right? And they have limited beliefs, but they say they believe in a unlimited, all-powerful God. So what that all really means is most people can't know God, right? And they have a bad relationship with God because they'll say God is all powerful, but if you believe the all powerful is outside of you, where does that place you? All right. So when you hear successful people say, well, keep God first, that could mean a lot of things to different people. And so because you was at a point of trying to gain a better understanding of God or truly spirituality, right? What are you keeping first? So to keep God first is you have to first understand who and what God is. Before you can understand something outside of you, you have to understand who and what you are, right? So who and what we are as people is spiritual beings in a physical body. The spirit is God, right? We exist because a source that people call God, right? Because if we're speaking a different language, we would say, I'm speaking Arabic, I'm going to say Allah. I'm speaking Hebrew, I might say Yahweh or Yahuwah, right? If I study ancient Egyptian, I would say Hu, the force of creative will. So regardless of what language, we know this is a force, a spirit force, a non-physical energy, right? That's in us. So God is in us. So they're in business, and I myself being in business over 25 years, and however long you've been in business, you encounter things in this physical world, challenges, right? Financial challenges, conflicts with relationships with partners, employees, whatever. Sometimes you won't physically have that money there, okay? Sometimes you'll get weak. But if you keep God first, and a higher understanding is understanding that the power is in you, right? The God is in you. Once you always hold on to that, right, then you can never truly get weak. Our problem is we get weak when we forget what is in us. And then we focus on so much what we see with these eyes, right? With these eyes, as opposed to what we see with our real sight, which is in the mind, right? So if we focus with these two eyes, we will always be deceived. You won't make it through challenges. You won't get the loan that you wanted. You won't get the money for the business. You won't start the business. You'll stay in poverty, right? Because you're really not keeping God first. To keep God first is to understand where God is, and it's in you. And if God or source or power is all powerful and unlimited, if it's inside you, do you have limits? No. Okay. So for entrepreneurs, we have to understand this. If entrepreneurs solve problems, that's what entrepreneurs do. We solve problems. We see a problem with tires. Okay, I'll start a tire shop. Or, we see a problem. These people aren't getting served food in this part of town. I'm gonna start a restaurant, a food truck, and I'll deliver to that. You're creatively solving problems. Now, you could see the problem, right? And you say, I want to solve it. In that solving the problem, right? Sometimes we have problems, okay? And something physical can't fix it. We'll want to give up, okay? Well, then we have to tap into something that man didn't make. You got to tap into something that, your mama, she might have gave you a message, but she can't save you. You got to go to God within you, right? And so there's a symbol called Sankofa, and that symbol has a bird looking back, right?
It's crazy because I was looking for her. You would be right down the wall.
Yeah, or I wear it a lot, right? So the Sankofa symbol means look back to your roots. Your roots is your people, and your people and your ancestor is divinity or it's God. You're still always looking back to your roots, right? So it's important for us as entrepreneurs to understand the importance of spirituality in business, okay? It's important to understand why, because we're dealing with a physical finite object called money, right? And we trading with people, but people have feelings, right? And so your concept of spirituality, your values, it plays out in our business. And for many of us, whoever's out there and who is afraid to start your business, you're afraid because you're listening to people that have never done it, right? What do you say to those people? What do you say to those people that, the woman out there and she's been wanting to do something, but she's afraid because she might fail? What do you say to the brother that wanted to start his business, but he's afraid because his friends failed at business? What do you say to them?
As cliche as it sounds, I would have to say the same thing that my mentors was telling me. It's just to lean into that faith. You have to remember who you are. You have to have your own relationship with God. And I was having a real, real hard time just because that I was programmed to only see God as an old white man in the sky that dictates if I'm worthy or not, by if I'm a good enough person, if I can be nice enough, if I can be sweet enough, if I can be kind enough, if I, things like that. And so when I was looking at God as this old white man in the sky, I couldn't relate to that. I couldn't feel a oneness with that. I could, it's like, I'm not an old white man. Like I'm not, there's nothing with me that made me feel connected to that. And on top of it, everything that I was programmed to think about women, especially in a biblical text, not that the Bible only speak bad, just speak bad about women or anything, but the way it was delivered. The
religious is this religion, and there's the truth.
And so, when I go through the Bible, it was different than how it was programmed to me through the religions. And so religion made me feel as if I would never be worthy enough because not only am I Black, but I'm a woman. So we're unworthy as women. Everything is he, him. And so I didn't feel like I had any divinity as a woman. And so it's so crazy because my sister had made a joke in our family text the other day, and she was like, I remember when Sabrina, I'm saying Sahora, my daughter, but I remember when Sabrina thought that she was a little thug little boy. And I just bust out laughing yesterday, and it was the most freeing thing because I forgot about that aspect of my life. I forgot that I used to have my hair braided straight to the back in cornrows and wear baggy pants and a big shirt and, things like that. And as I think back, I'm like, wow, I didn't see any divinity in women. I didn't see power in being a woman. I saw women as weak. I saw women as chaotic. I saw women as drama. I saw women as just that cursed mankind. I saw women as, like all types of things. Like, my whole family is mainly women, and they always told me how you can't trust women. And so And then these was the same ones that's giving me so-called religion and things like that. And so, it made me feel bad as being a woman. I didn't feel good about myself being a woman. Mm-hmm. And then when I did start to so-called embrace being a woman, I only embraced it in a toxic way. I embraced it in a way of what the culture got going on now of like I'm gonna use my looks. I'm a baddie, I'm this and I'm that, because I didn't know the divinity it was with my divine feminine energy. But back to what we were saying though, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but with realizing that, I realized that I didn't know who I was because I had a disconnect of how the religion was being taught to me. I had a disconnect of how I was being taught to see God. And for some reason, even as a kid, the way that I was trained to see God, it didn't make me feel happy. It didn't make me feel good. It made me feel fearful. It was like, oh, I'm scared, and so it wasn't a oneness of like oh my God, like, oh, I feel so blissful in this God energy. It was like, oh God, because it was like a fear thing.
Can I hold you right there? Mm-hmm. Fear. That's how most people see their concept of God, right? Fear-based, and it's outside of them.
But we've been taught to say that.
Right, but so think about that. Because remember, the question I asked you is what stops the young woman, the young brother, whatever, from starting a business? Fear, right? And they say there's a power, but you just described how you viewed the image of God. In that time you was in that belief state, and you said, well, I seen God as an old white man. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're afraid of him, and you're afraid of an image that don't look like you. Mm-hmm. So if you look in the mirror, how do you see yourself? Mm-hmm. Right.
Then, I saw myself as a sin. Mm-hmm. I saw myself as it's just the worst thing that God could. It's like more of my biggest prayer was, forgive me for being a woman. Forgive me for being black. Forgive me for I know I'm not worthy. Because that was how it was given. Like, oh, I know I'm not worthy. Mm-hmm. I know I'm not enough.
You just want mercy.
But just give me a little mercy. Yeah. Just help me get through this. Mm-hmm. I know I ain't good enough, man. Right. But just, and so I was giving it in a weak way. And so I would come to it in a weak way. And so therefore, when they say keep God first, I'm like, oh, God ain't finna find no favor in me. I don't want to, God ain't finna bless me. I'm a woman and I'm black and I'm broke.
So this isn't just your story. This is the masses' story. People are stuck in indoctrination. Mm-hmm. We have a religious indoctrination. We have a social indoctrination. We've been indoctrinated to be workers, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody that's just working and has that belief state, which is a non-empowered belief state. It's a power saying that everything that is powerful, either it don't look like me and it's not in my body. Right. So what you're producing is people that will work for just enough. Right? You're just working for just enough. So people are working, and this is why I rejected working for someone, right? Because it was always just enough. Even when you say, okay, we'll pay you this amount of hour, that amount of hour. You look at your life, you add up your bills, and you say, well, the first thing people say is, well, that's enough to pay my bills. That's enough. So we've been programmed with the belief state, right, to accept just enough, because we have belief in a spiritual power that gives you just enough, right? It only gives you enough. But this is the concepts that we believe in. So we was given a concept of power or God or spirituality, but we don't have to accept it. Mm-hmm. And so when I tell people, I say, well, you have to keep God first. You have to have some form of spirituality. To keep God first is to keep yourself first. Mm-hmm. Because this is the thing. How can you love God who you've never seen? Mm-hmm. I hate your brother you see every day. Your brother is you. Mm-hmm. You see? So if you can't see God in him, do you really see God? What do you see in yourself? Mm-hmm. So if we change our concept of God, if we really be more spiritual aspect, and you don't take things literal, and you understand that there's two references of knowledge or information. Two, the science there's religion, there's spirituality. They call it, they masked it with religion, but it's spirituality. The science is spirituality, right? Science is this, right? People like facts. It's what we see. You see, okay, I can see your body. I can see this chair. I can see the floor, right? Spirituality is unseen science. So you might not see it, but you can feel it. You see, it's like the energy when you walk in a room. Okay, it's like you can feel negative energy. You can't see it, but you can feel it. That's spirituality. Okay, that's the most powerful part of us. What is unseen? That's our will, the willpower, the will to do something. That's the perception. That's your intuition, right? Right. Those are our higher faculties that are unseen power, right? That is God or God power or God energy, if you want to use the word God, or it's just the spiritual power, right? So man, and even in the finite world, the business world, they threw us in a physical thing and say, this is all you got to operate with. If you don't realize you're connected to a spiritual power or source, then you walking in this life blindfolded. You see? And you bumping into walls, right? You got one hand tied behind your back, right? And you trying to win a baseball game, you see? And this is what's happening in everyday people's lives economically. This is why people are stuck in a 9-to-5 rat race. This is why people are complaining about the economy, right? It's their concept of spirituality or God. They're seeing the almighty, all powerful outside of themselves. So thus they won't free themselves from, as my partner, he calls it the slave ship. That's what he called a job. He's like, man, I'm glad I freed myself from the slave ship, right? Because if it's not directly benefiting you and helping you better your life, right? It's just enough. That's what slavery is, right? It's just enough. It gave us just enough. Slaves ate food. They just had just enough. They had the worst food, just enough to keep your body going. Okay. So for us talking about the importance of spirituality in business and life, you can't stress it enough, because that's what's going to get you through your hurdles. That's how you separate the non-successful from the successful. Now, does that mean everybody you see massively successful, they can expound and explain this the way I'm talking? No, it doesn't mean that.
You don't have to know how to explain it. You don't have to truly understand it.
It's just you tap into it. So there's people that are unconsciously competent, meaning they tap into that. Michael Jordan, he was sick. He played a game, he had the flu, and he just willed himself to hit the shot. And then after he hit the shot, he's like, oh, he's weak. He might not be able to explain the power that he tapped into, but he tapped into it, right? He's unconscious of what he's tapping into. What does that mean? It's like riding a bike. Once you tap into something, it becomes second nature. I remember the first time trying to ride a bike. It looks easy, but then you get on it, you wobbling, you can't balance, you fall down. The 10th, 12th time you get it, you're like, oh, I'm there. And then the next day you really riding that thing, right? I can go out, I probably haven't rode a bike, I don't know how long, but I can get on a bike, I can still ride the bike. I'm conscious of it. I know how to tap into that, right? It's autopilot. Once you have that connection with the divine in you, it becomes on autopilot. You're gonna hit financial challenges, right? Somebody's gonna not show up for work at your business. Okay, you're gonna be tired. This is gonna be sick. This is gonna happen. But what happens is you just shift into gear. You don't let the problems overtake you. Okay, it becomes second nature. It's like driving a car. You might be driving 100 miles per hour, and you just listening to music. Before you know it, you are at your destination. You've been driving 2 hours. You're like, wow. Your brain and your mind can just focus like that. And
then you just like, oh, I don't even remember driving. I don't even remember the route. Like, oh my goodness, I'm thankful I was protected, because I could have been in an accident because I wasn't even paying attention. But it's like it becomes second nature because you're so used to it.
Yeah. So for those that struggle with taking the leap. Taking the leap is different for different people because success is different. Some people just want to quit their job. Some people want to become the manager, but they're scared to apply for the position, right? You should not be fearful if you have all the power in the world because you have it in you. See, the problem with belief is this. The most important belief is self-belief, believing in yourself. You see, most people, whatever religion you were brought up in, whatever, when you read these scriptures, the more you read them, you start to see things differently, right? What should you have? What should you see differently in life that's most important? Yourself. When you was a child, right? Even the Bible says when I was a child, I talked as a child, I spoke as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So your consciousness should shift. You shouldn't be seeing through the eyes of a child. Okay. With so much information out here for people, we shouldn't just be dwelling in poverty, dwelling in misery. Okay. That doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges. Doesn't mean you're not going to have financial problems. But to dwell there is death. Okay. So if you see yourself and you see yourself as having all the power within you at access any given time, there's nothing that we can't do. So that's what we're saying, with Masternomics, that's what has helped us keep moving through our challenges. Children, twins, when you weren't planning on twins, and you're like, wow, how am I going to do this? Right.
Loss of children.
Yeah. You kick into gear because you tap into the real power, which you can't see. That's the real power. That's the force that gets things done.
It's so crazy. A lot of people give more power to the other, the devil, than they do the actual God. Like a lot of times when you're, and that's be a lot of things just because of the way that we choose to live and choose to move. A lot of people would say that that's not a God, right? Because it's going against how they have been programmed to see or view God. But those will be the same people that's constantly begging God, being in a, oh God, help me, or the devil trying to get me, or the devil busy, And, but it's like at the same time, it's like, guys, I'm the only one, there is no other. So how is it that you can give so much power and so much reverence and so much honor, pretty much, because that's what you're doing to the other, the devil.
Right.
Like you have so much faith in the devil that can hurt you, but you don't have faith in the almighty one God that
is the creator of all.
Right?
Right.
And so it's just like, it'd be so baffling to me with how people be contradicting themselves. And that was one of the biggest things that were for me with religion, that we used to make it hard, because it was like, one minute you're saying that God is so powerful and nothing can defeat God, and God is this and God is that. But then, and then the next day, oh, the devil, the busy, oh, the devil got me, or the devil made that person do this, or the devil this, or the devil that. And it's like, well, which one of them is the most powerful? Because the way you're acting as if the devil had way more power.
Right.
And so it's very confusing. It was like, it's a limbo.
Right.
And so like, I remember you had just asked on what is it advice that we would give to a younger person that's coming up, and like they're having that conflict of like, well, what to do. It's just like, you have to know, you have to start to have a relationship and an understanding of what God is for you on your level, for what makes you feel good. It's not about what somebody else told you, or even what I'm saying, or what your mama said, or nothing. You got to say, well, how can I look at this in a way that it make me feel good? How can I look at this in a way that it make me feel empowered? And so in order to be able to take those leaps of faith, you have to lean into faith. You got to see what it is that can make you feel empowered. You got to see what makes you feel good about yourself. And so if watching reality TV don't make you feel good, if it don't make you feel empowered, you probably need to turn it off for a while. If having these negative conversations and sitting on the phone with Joanne gossiping about Susie all day, when you get off the phone, you don't have any willpower to go do what you need to do. So maybe you need to get off the phone. If so you need to go tap into things that make you feel empowered. You need to go read information and be around people, even if you don't got nobody that you say, I don't got no positive friends. Okay, who cares? You don't need them. That's why you got podcasts. You sitting on the phone anyway. You don't have to be sitting here watching.
You have a bunch of negative ones if you say these are Facebook friends, and they are negative. I mean, how are they impacting your life?
Exactly. You could just tune them out for a little while and go just watch people that's on their entrepreneur journey. Go watch people that's doing it. Because the more you look at that, the more you feed into that, the more you give your power, because your power is your attention. The more I'm watching somebody that's doing the things that I want to do and they're making it look easy and they're happy with it, the more I'm going to be able to feel that I can tap into that energy. And so you just have to know you got to find out what works for you. You got to find out what feels good for you. And the things that don't feel good for you, if it's not resonating with you, stop trying to force yourself to, to go that way just because you have been told to. Sometimes you gotta go against the grain. Sometimes you gotta be okay with somebody calling you the devil. Sometimes you gotta be okay with friends turning their back on you. Sometimes you gotta be okay with your family telling you that you're stupid. When I was doing network marketing, my stepdad, my mom and them, they used to literally make jokes and say, I'm just a high-priced prostitute, just to be high-paid prostitute, just to be honest, because their minds couldn't comprehend.
Why though? What do you mean?
Because they saw
the way you were dressing or something. When
they saw me as a young woman, and I'm going being mentored because most of my mentors at the time was men, and so you go into these conferences and I'm taking pictures and I'm out here or whatever, and so they like, oh, you ain't doing nothing, you just out there with these men and stuff like that, because they minds couldn't comprehend that somebody want to teach you something. They mind couldn't comprehend that somebody want to give you some information. They mind couldn't comprehend that somebody want to put you on and help you grow in your business without feeling like they need to go lay you down in the bed. And I have been blessed to have mentors that loved me. I have been blessed to have mentors that respected me. I have been blessed to have mentors that ain't never tried to do nothing or talk to me in a different way or try to manipulate me. I have been truly blessed to have people that truly put me on game, but they wasn't from those environments. They wasn't raised in that way. They only they can only see from their perception and through their eyes and their lens. And so they see me dressing all nice and they see me with my little business, little skirts on and stuff like that. And I'm going all the way to Atlanta, I'm going to Florida or whatever. And I'm like, I'm finna go meet with the McDaniels or whatever. Even though his wife and stuff, they didn't care. Their mind was like, yeah, whatever. That man ain't giving you that game for free. That man, and of course it ain't free. It's a conference. You're paying to get there. But that man ain't doing that. So their minds could only see in one way. But I had to, even though it was painful, it was so many seminars that I was going to. It was so many times I was going to go get coached and I was crying on the way. There were so many times that I was going and I got even, your baby dad or something like, while you trying to drop the child off. I had so much against me, but I had to tune that out. Even though I was still having a problem with tapping completely into God faith, as they were saying, but I still wasn't allowing that to stop me. And so I would literally have Eric Thomas playing in the car. I would have Les Brown playing in the car with tears going down my eyes, and I had it up as loud as I could to drown out those negative thoughts and those negative words that was being said to me. So, because what you were doing, and that's funny because you wasn't conscious of what you were doing, but you was confident enough to do it. So what happens is everything is frequency, and so entrepreneurs, people that desire or aspire for anything higher than where you're at, you have to get on a different frequency. Right? And that's the thing. What our problem is, because you said a lot, it was powerful. But you said God and the devil and how people focus, and the same people that say it's about God, they always tell you something bad and say, oh, the devil's doing this, the devil's doing that. The devil is any person or thing that keeps you distracted by things that simply don't matter. And even when good stuff happens to you, a lot of them will tell you the devil can bless folks too. But think about that. That's what the devil is. A person, any person or thing that distracts you, that keeps you distracted on things that simply don't matter. It does not matter. And if you focus on what doesn't matter, what doesn't, matter, what don't matter, it becomes
Matter. Matter. It hardens. It becomes something. So if you focus on what whoever these girls hating on you on Facebook and they down in your business or people saying this or that, right? If you focus your attention on it, because you say it's the devil, it distracts you. Once it distracts you, you're lowering your frequency. If your frequency is up here, you trying to get to 6 figures or 7 figures, right? And you keep getting distracted by people, what they're doing is they're pulling you down or keeping you stuck on a low frequency. Okay? So that becomes the devil. So what is that? Who creates the devil? You do. Because you give it power. You see? So where you put your power and your attention, it becomes the devil if it's non-productive or non-beneficial for you. Okay? Worry becomes the devil once you empower it, right? If you keep worrying and worrying and worrying, what do they say? What are these things that are thrown around in religion? They might come out of scripture, but they become religious if you're just saying them and you don't know what they really mean, right? Where the devil comes to rob, kill, and destroy, right? Well, that's what that bill is doing.
That's what stress.
That's what that stress is doing. It's robbing you of life. It's stressing you out. You're getting so stressed out, you're getting ulcer.
That's what gossip.
You losing weight. Right. They gossiping from you. That's the devil because you made it the devil. And you gave the devil power. Because you focusing on it.
You tapping into the devil's energy every time you sit on the phone, you're talking about people.
Right.
Every time you're gossiping about people.
And the problem is, we've been taught and trained to look at the devil as a man or somebody in the ground. Right? It's an energy. It's a lower frequency, right? If your life is excelling and, whoever this might apply to, if you're happily married and doing well and your life is doing good, right? And then some guy or girl from your past, 10 years ago, they still in the same level. They might look good, but then they come and they talking to you, whispering to you, right? And you exchange numbers. Next thing you know, you start texting. What's happening? You came from above that frequency. Now you're going back down. Then somehow you get caught up with whoever, with your spouse or whatnot. You might not even done that. But now you create chaos.
You got to tangle with the devil.
Right. You can't blame that person. You got to look at you and look inside you. You give that person power, right? Because there's one source. There ain't two. I throw people off sometimes when they talk about it. They say, well, the devil, I don't believe in the devil. I believe in God. What's God? God is frequency. It's the highest energy there is. It's the highest level of consciousness. It's pieces of it. It flows through us. Well, if there's God, there got to be a devil. No, that's not true. That's your perception, right? Your perception, if it distracts you and it's making you decrease, then it becomes the devil to you. Right. But what's the devil to you ain't the devil to me. So it ain't no one devil, because I'm not distracted by what these people are distracted by. I'm right here. We're doing a podcast right now. I'm expounding on information. Right. They might be trying to distract me in my inbox with some foolishness. But then if I give it power, then it becomes the devil. So that don't exist to me. And I can say that. And so what we have to do is we have to look at our lives as this life is for you, right? Your life is for you. You have a purpose. These other people might not have the purpose. So if you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is you're doing, I don't care what type of business you're doing. If you're in music, you're in whatever. You can't give your energy to people that are not on the frequency that you're on or the frequency you want to go to. You lose when you go down on frequency. Right? You have to keep moving up in frequency. Guess what? There's no limit. It's limitless, the frequencies of your elevation. Right? Your cup can run over. If you manage what you have, then you'll get more. Your cup will become full. Your cup should run over. Ain't nothing wrong with your cup running over. Ain't nothing wrong with having, you had $1 million last year, now you got 10 million. Keep getting it.
and your cup runneth over. I hadn't even realized like my cup runneth over. It's not just about, oh, I got so much money that I could just play, just running over and over. No, your cup runneth over is like whatever is poured into the cup, that's what's going to come out of the cup. And so if you're only pouring in, oh, I'm not a good enough. Oh, this person don't like me. Oh, that person did this. Oh, don't nobody believe in me. Oh, don't nobody like me. You know, if that's what you're thinking about all day, that's what you're filling your cup up with. That's what your cup gonna be running over with. And so then once you get somebody else come around you and they bump you a little bit, that's what's gonna pour out. And you're gonna be like, I hate you. You hate me. You know, because that's what's all been poured into you. And like even that's the trickery with social media. It's because like even for me, if I sit and I watch too much, if I go on a rabbit hole of watching the police killing or this or that or whatever too long, it'll play tricks on my mind and it'll mess up my energy so bad because that's what's been pouring into me so much, right? But also, if you don't like that part that's been poured into you, can stop it at any moment and then you can start pouring into good stuff. Like I was telling you, like I didn't have a good relationship of thinking, oh, I know what God is and I don't have a relationship with God, but I did say, now, I don't know what the hell they talking about with no God right now, but let me go and turn on this Eric Thomas. Let me turn on this Les Brown. Let me turn on Lisa Nichols. Let me turn on some Tony Robinson.
And what did they do? What does it do for you emotionally?
It brought me back up. It put that God back into me, that essence back into me. So it's filling my cup up with something good, with something positive. And so therefore, when I was being called names and I was being, oh, she's stupid or she ain't gonna never make no money or whatever, it was like, it helped keep me, you know, that's what helped come out of my cup. Because it was like, well, that's your little low vibrational thinking. And it's so crazy though, because it was like, the ones, you know, because like the network marketing pyramid scheme, this and that, however you want to look at it, it changed my life. If I listened to those people that told me I was wasting my time, I wouldn't be who I am today. If I listened to those people that told me that I was just a little, you know, a high-priced prostitute, oh, I ain't doing nothing, I'm trying to chase a man, I know what I was doing. But if I would have listened to them, I wouldn't be who I am today. I would have still been low. You know, like when the crazy part about it, I was living in the hood, single mama trying to figure it out with a baby by myself, trying to figure it out. Wasn't nobody giving me, the same ones that was trying to talk about me and trying to say you wasting your time and you chasing this and you just want a man and all of that. No, they wasn't at my house trying to feed my daughter.
That's real.
They wasn't at my house trying to say, hey, let me take her to school for you. I know you ain't got no car. Let me take her to school. They wasn't doing that. And so I had to drown them out. I didn't have no friends that I can go talk to about this. I didn't have anybody that was physically around that I could just call. You know, you can't just call your mentors, you know. Like they ain't gonna let you just call them, you know. But what I did is I got on my YouTube and I listened to those things that was pouring life into me. I listened to things that was empowering me. Even if I was crying, even if it was hard to believe it at the moment, I still stuck to it and I listened to it. It's like, you know, so it's just like, I still leaned into faith, even though I didn't realize that it was faith. I still was leaning into God, even though I didn't realize it was God. I didn't know that it was God speaking to me through Les Brown voice. I didn't know that was God speaking to me through Eric Thomas voice. And see, I needed Eric Thomas because he gave it to you raw. He used to fuss. You know, I came from that toxic behavior. And so sometimes giving it to me too nice wasn't resonating. And so I needed the roughness. But I didn't realize that was God speaking to me through those, you know, through that technology. I didn't know that was God uplifting me when I was crying by listening to Lisa Nichols and hearing her story about how she was a single mom and her baby daddy was in prison. She said, oh, I'm not gonna let this become my son. But those stories empowered me. Those stories kept me going. They kept me full. And so even when people wasn't believing in me, even though people wasn't having my back, even though people was trying to talk about me making fake pages and all of that, it still kept me going. It's because even though I didn't know what it was doing, I was still leaning into faith. I still was keeping something bigger than me out. In my mind, I was thinking, oh man, I'm not going to be able to be successful because I don't even know who God is. But God was showing me what it is. You know, God was showing me that I'm everybody. I'm everything. Because I even had to realize that the people that was trying to bring me down, there was just as much God in my story as Les Brown and Eric Thomas. It's because I needed those people because they pushed me. I needed, because I was like, I'm going to show you. With tears in my eyes, I'm going to show you. Oh, I'm going to show you. And that's what I did. And it's not because it wasn't even so much about them. It was just, I was
had to show yourself. You had to show yourself, I'm not what they saying about me. I know this and I'm going to show you.
But I knew if I stayed, if I didn't do, if I didn't listen to the things, if I didn't go to those seminars no matter what, I would have allow the devil to overtake me.
Right. Exactly.
I would allow the devil to bring me down. But it was like I was already allowing the devil to control my life, and it wasn't working. The devil was my main thought process because I only was trying to think negative about myself and life. And so my first time being in a seminar and I heard people saying stuff about empowerment and giving love, it was weird. I promise you, my first seminar, I cried. I cried like a baby because I ain't never been in a room full of people that love you. I ain't never in my life been in a room full of people that just was positive and speaking life into people. I never in my life been in a room with women that was actually loving to each other without trying to tear each other down so we can get this man and get that man. It was the most empowering thing. It was addictive. It changed my life to the point I said, I don't care who guy I gotta lose. Mama, if you don't want to be my mama no more, that's fine. If you don't want to be my baby daddy no more, that's fine. If you don't want to be my friend no more, that's fine. Because this is addictive. I ain't never had it. And so it changed me.
And that's what changed you is conviction. Conviction will make you get to that frequency in business that you don't give a damn about what nobody say. What you said, what you just described was conviction. And that's what's going to get you to where you want to be. Now, let me ask you this. With that same passion that you said, I don't care whoever, I'm going to these seminars. At that moment back then, if you could go back 10 years ago when you was at those seminars, you might say, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. And you might have thought it was going to come in whatever company you was with, right? And it didn't come. Those physical millions didn't come from that company. But your conviction transforms you and is worth it's worth way more than money.
I don't care if I never made $1.
Right. It's the conviction. So conviction is what will shift you to the next level. That conviction ties into the spirituality. See, once you realize that God or the power, the source is in you, and you become convicted with that, it ain't nothing you can't do. It ain't no album you can't make for the artist. It ain't no cake you can't make for the cake bakers. It ain't no grass you can't cut for your lawn service. If you want to own 100 apartment complexes and you're in real estate, you have to have that conviction, that self-belief, self-determination, become self-accountable, right? And your discipline comes, there's nothing that you can't do.
And I'm
there's nothing.
Walking proof.
Yeah, right. And it brings a joy to you once you get through that. Once you can look at the people, and sometimes they're family members, right? And sometimes they're friends. And you can look at them a year or 2 years from when you got on that journey. And they look at you and say, "Oh, you really doing it? I didn't think, you was going to be able to do that. Oh, you really was serious about this." Because guess what? They don't know. And by you being the best version of yourself, you know what you're doing? You're giving them what they need to see. See,
you become their conviction.
You become their conviction. You become their point of reference because they say, you know what? If Sabrina could do it, I know I could do it. She come from the same hood I came from. When people see me, they stop and they say, man, bro, yeah, you doing it. You always was about this. You always was about that, right? And so there's a saying that my mentor gave us. He said, you have to walk in the light of the sun as if all can see you. That's how you should walk, as if all can see you. If everybody can see you, you should look your best. You should dress your best. You should talk your best. You should be the best version of yourself. If everybody can see you, right? All eyes are on you. And that's how you have to run your business as an entrepreneur, right? Don't run it based off of fear, right? I don't care what system your form of belief is. I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're from this sect, you're from that sect. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that God, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever word that you resonates with you, you have to believe that source wants to see you be successful, right? If you're believing that there's a force or a source that don't want to see you be successful, You need to throw that out. You got to shift and change that belief state, right? Because when you look in the mirror, you should see divinity, right? Mm-hmm. And when you start saying, I'm a child of God, you're on that path. Mm-hmm. But that's a path because you're more than a child. You are that, right? You are one with source energy, okay? Right? That's why even they put it in the Bible. Ye are gods. But you will die like men, to men. But in the eyes of God, we don't die.
When God breathed breath in your body, you became a living breathing spirit. And so it's just like when that breath is your power. That breath is your connection to God. That breath is your connection to everyone, to all. Right. We all connected to all. There's nothing in existence that's not connected to God because God is. God cannot be, like God, you said God is every place, at all times, no matter what, like you. So
everywhere, at all times, all places. And so omnipresent.
Only putting God in the sky, you are the one limiting God. Right. It's not somebody saying, when somebody said, oh, thank you to universe. Oh, you limited God. How in the heck is that limiting God? Limiting God is putting God in one space and saying God can only be there and God only help these people on these circumstances. Right. That's bull crap. Right. And that's control. Right. And that's what's keeping so many people away from their divinity. That's what's keeping so many people away from their heaven right now. Right. That's what's keeping so many people in depression.
Because you think heaven is a place.
Exactly. And that's why so many people
you think that you can go there. Now you can experience it right now. The kingdom of heaven or God is within. Man, right? Your body is the house of God. This is all in scripture, but this is spirituality. Religion wants you to separate and put it out there, right? And so the reason why I focus on it so much in business and entrepreneurship, because this is what's going to transform your business. Your belief about yourself is your business, right?
Or even your job, your work,
right? And whatever you do, your work is divine work. If you're a CNA, you're a nurse. Do you realize you healing people? Do you realize you taking care of elderly? You help. Taking care of the sick, those that have been shut in. Like your power, you are a vessel of divinity.
Even if you're working at McDonald's, it's still a divine job because
you're serving someone.
You're helping somebody. Even though you may think it's not the best food, whatever. But at the end of the day, no matter what it is you're doing, it's your way of saying that, you know what, God, let me show you what I can do.
That's right.
Let me be God today. Right. And so a lot of times people are just showing up in their devil's energy and that negative energy. They be, with attitudes and all that. But no matter I don't care so it's the law, a universal law. If you help enough people get what they want, by default, you will get what you want. And so, even if you work in a McDonald's, if you work in McDonald's with the best attitude that you can have, if you serve that food with the best love that you can give, if you flip that burger and you make sure that you really cooking it to the best of your ability.
If you want to become the manager,
you are on that joint.
You can manage it. If you want to own a franchise, you can do it.
Yes.
You see?
I don't care if you picking up trash. If you do it with the best love that you can, I promise you, there's no way that you're not going to win. Because even if that job don't recognize you, even if your boss don't recognize you, you will be compensated by God. You will be compensated by the universe because it's a divine law. If you even be the best, let's say you married to a trifling woman, you can give her your everything. You could be so loving and so good to that woman. If she don't love you and if she don't appreciate you, it's the divine law that God will remove that woman and he will bring you somebody that is worthy because of it's a divine law that no matter what it is that you put out, you are going to get it back. And it may not seem like it at the moment because, sometimes, it's what you
might have loved that trifling woman. And guess what? Then she just walked out and you said she found somebody else. Guess what? That's the best thing that could have happened to you.
That's God blessing you.
Thank you. Right.
That's the universe giving you what you
removing it from you because what you've been putting out, it's gonna come back.
It's gonna come back to you. Right.
But you can't want instant gratification, and you have to understand delayed gratification. Right. Delayed only means it's only delayed if you're looking at it with the physical eye. But if you're looking at it through a spiritual aspect, you have it right now, and that's why. In the Bible it says, let the weak say I am strong. Because you might, in the physical.
But why they don't say, be real, keep it real. If you're weak, you need to go and tell God how weak you are. Why don't it say that?
Because anything after I am, you become. So if you profess out of your mouth, say, I am poor, you are saying you will be poor. You're putting your energy
but what if
into
you really
poverty.
are poor though? Like, let's be real. Like, what if you really don't have no money in the bank? What if you really living in a cardboard box? Like, let's be real.
Then you're only looking at physical things. That's why I said there's spiritual and there's physical, right? So science is seeing spirituality. Spirituality is unseen science. To merge them together, what you have to understand is the real power comes from the real creation, which happens in a mental and a spiritual state. So, right, you might physically don't have no money in that bank account. But if you focus only on what you can see physically, you're going to dwell in poverty. But you have an imagination. With the imagination, you can create an image of whatever you want. Now, you can't see the images in my head, but I can. That's the gift, the imagination to be able to create an image. So I can create an image of wealth, 1 million, 2 million, whatever, right? I have to hold on to this image in my mind, and then it will harden into a physical reality. Now, does that mean I just sit down and dream? No, because faith without works is dead. It's only faith if you have a mental image and then you start moving towards it. That's true faith, right? So none of us, there's really no poor people. There's only people that believe they're poor. And so because they believe they're poor, they say I am poor, right? So when that's an esoteric meaning. So that's in the book of Hosea in the Bible, right? And it says, let the weak say I am strong. Okay. Take their plows and beat them into swords and weapons, right? This really happened. You can research.
Tell you to empower yourself.
Thank you, right. But you have to believe it first, okay? Right, you have to believe it. Most people don't know this. You know the fighting weapons. You ever seen nunchucks? Yeah. Bruce Lee and them, right? Nunchucks and the staff. Like you ever seen Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant, and they fighting with the staff and all that. Those were Chinese. Those were Chinese gardening tools.
Those were gardening.
They were tools that they used. The staff.
How was it?
Right.
That was a gardening tool.
Yeah. So what happened was, you ever seen the bowl and they crushed rice with this thing, right? So these people at one time they were actually oppressed by the Japanese Empire, right? Yeah. So what happened was the people that were working the rice fields, they really outnumbered the Japanese. So they ended up saying, you know what, it's time to liberate ourselves. They didn't have the weaponry. So they took these gardening tools. Right.
That's correct.
Yeah, they took what's called
and it's known as a weapon now.
Right. They changed it into weapons. And they fought. The hole that you dig with, they fought. They turned those into weapons.
Get out
right?
Of here.
That's what it actually even says in the scripture. But they had to believe that they were strong. Right? So think about it. Harriet Tubman said, I forgot 1,000 slaves. I would have freed more if they would have knew they weren't slaves. She knew she wasn't a slave, and the man had a chain around her. He had a chain around her. He said, you mine, I own you. What did she say in her head? I'm free. You can't own me. You can't own me.
She said freedom or death.
Death, right. And what happened? She believed to the outer world, I have a chain around you. You are a slave. So in her mind, she said, you can't chain me. You can't own me.
I'm done.
And she became free. But she had so much conviction, it wasn't enough for her to be free. She said, I'm going to free others. She said,
I'm not free until all my brothers and sisters are free.
So that's the mindset you have to have. You have to have that in your business, right? You have to say, I deserve this. I'm worthy of this, right? Our problem as a people, this is why entrepreneurship should be liberating. I use examples of liberation. We just talked about China. Haiti did the same thing for, our people. Haiti liberated himself. Toussaint Louverture, Dessalines, the general. They were oppressed by the French and the Spanish, right? I think the Spanish had Dominican Republic, the French had them, right? They were trying to colonize them. And over a period of time, the Haitian people never succumbed to them. They believe we are free, right? They used any form they could. They went and got some herbs. We're going to poison these jokers. Oh, here you go, master. Here go your food. Yeah, I'm free. Yeah, ain't no way you gonna own me.
Yep.
Right? They use whatever means they had. Right? So it's a mental aspect. So for us as entrepreneurs, you talking to somebody that slept in his car. I lived in hotel rooms, right? So can't nobody tell you, oh, you too broke to come up. You got to believe that this is not my circumstances. That circumstance cannot be your God. And poverty cannot be your God.
And I want to say this because a lot of times, because we have a lot of connections, like with us being Queen Mother and Chief, in Ghana. I feel like some of our brothers and sisters from our motherland, they feel as if Americans have more power, as if they don't have any power. And so I just want even to, it doesn't matter, even if you're not in America, even if you don't have a big house, even if you don't have a beautiful car, even if you don't have running water, even if you don't have, per se, an actual roof over your head, if you can tap into the power of the unseen, if you can remember who you are, if you can truly, truly hold those images of knowing that you are worthy, that you are one with God, and anything is possible for you, if you can really, really tap into that, you can transform everything. Right. And the goal should not be to come to America. The goal should not go trying to, go
abandon your people and come to live to the promised land.
No, but it's to liberate you. It's to be able to bring the heaven to your space, to your timeline, to create your environment as a heaven on earth for you, for your children, for your great-great-grandchildren, because your land is your wealth. Where you're at, that's the real wealth. Don't let nobody trick you out of your wealth, because the matrix is saying, I need to go live on this, I hate to say it like land, and have his beautiful things. And then that way, a lot of the ones that's come here, they're not at peace. They look like it's beautiful pictures, but they working so much that they don't get to enjoy the houses anyway. They working so much that the only time they drive in the car is to and back and from work. And so they're not even really, enjoying any of it. And so don't let that trick you out of anything. And I just really, really want to say that is because I really want us to know our true power, and our true power don't have anything to do with a house, a car, money, clothes, shoot, none of that. No, your power is the divinity within you. And so but it's not that any of those things are wrong or any of those things are bad, but I'm just saying you don't have to come to America in order to enjoy nice things and in order to live a nice life. You don't have to go move on this side of the town in order to have nice things. You can literally create heaven right where you're at. Right. You really can transform everything right where you at, but you gotta have that faith, and you gotta have that belief, and you gotta be willing to work hard. And you know what? I don't even like the idea of thinking somebody need to work hard, whatever, to get wealth and money and all of that, because that's not divinity either. But I do feel like you do have to be willing to put in the work, no matter what that may look like for you in your season. But in the process of putting in that work, you got to be more than physically. The work need to be more spiritually. The work need to be more put in mentally. And so you got to keep and hold into that faith no matter what.
The work is self-work. Yes. That's the real work.
And so you're around a bunch of people that they never had $1 million or they never had a bunch of success in their life. It's not that they don't love you or they don't want the best for you. A lot of them trying to protect you because they try to do something that didn't work for them, and so they don't want you to be hurt. And so they trying to give it to you the way it was given to them, but that was them. And so that you need to be making sure that you are listening to or surrounding yourself around people that can speak life into what it is that you're trying to do, because times have changed. You can literally have anything that you desire to have as long as you have the right mindset. It's not, your mind is your wealth. That's your greatest wealth. Right. The more that you can pour into your mind, the more good that you can put in your mind, the more that you can speak life into your mind, the more that you can sit here and hold beautiful pictures about yourself, about your life, about your family in your mind, the more that you are going to be able to reap the benefits of real prosperity, real love, real wealth. It's the mind. The mind. See, that's why the enemy wants your mind, but God, want you to just cultivate that mind. The more that you can cultivate that mind with love, the more that you can put remind yourself of how you are one with God, the more that you can remind yourself of your divinity and how you are worthy, the more empowered you will become, the more your energy will become more magnetic because you filling yourself up with God. Every time you speaking life into yourself, you speaking life into God. Every time that you are telling yourself how you are worthy, you're telling God how you're just, that you one with him. Like, so it's like you got to cultivate that mind. Your mind is your true wealth. Because all of the money can be taken away. We didn't have a house fire. We lost everything. Everything. And even though it felt like we lost everything and it was the darkest time of my life, we got it back plus more because they didn't take away our mind. Our mind didn't burn. And so no matter what can be taken away from you, if you have the right mindset, if you have the right way of looking at yourself and looking at the world, nothing can hold you back. Yeah, there will be times that you feel depressed. Yes, you will cry. Yes, you will feel sad. Yes, you will have low times. But that's part of life. But you need to be able to have those times because even me, when I mentally break, when I come back, it made me feel even more divine. I'm like, oh, thank you, God, thank you. Because I remember when that used to be my dominant set point. I remember when I used to feel depressed like that every day of my life. I'm so grateful that I only get to feel it once every 6 months now. I'm so grateful that I only got to experience it for a week this time versus a whole year. And so it brings you back into remembering your divinity even more. So don't fight the hard times. Don't fight the struggle. Embrace it and just say, you know what, God, I know that this is just a season. I know that this is just a moment for now, but you got to be able to speak life over yourself no matter what the circumstances look like. I don't care if you just lost a baby. Been there, done it too, and it hurts. But you got to be able to keep that faith. You got to be able to say, you know what, God, I know that you have a reason for this. I know you have a bigger purpose for this. And it's not to say because it's like, of course, we want you to know that God is in you too. But you got to be able to empower yourself in any way that you possibly can. And so if talking in the way that I talk, if that's not empowering to you, don't do it the way I do it. Do it the way your grandma do it. Do it the way Chris tell you do it. Do it the way somebody else, whatever. But you gotta find what make it feel good for you. And you gotta be able to lean into that with everything. Because the more you read that information that's going to empower you, the more you read about God, the more you learn about God, the more you listen to people that's teaching you about self-empowerment and changing your mindset and speaking life into you, the more empowered you become. That's filling your cup up. And whatever you pour into that cup, that's what's going to come out.
Yes. So we can't stress it enough. Spirituality in your life, in your business, you must have it. It's the key. You have it inside. So we thank you. We love you. Until we meet again.
Peace, love, and light.